Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, as well as being your preview for the game against Arsenal, which will take place on Thursday at 8 o'clock without Ralf Rangnick. This has been confirmed by the football club Manchester United itself that Ralf Rangnick will not be in charge of the game on Thursday. Michael Carrick will be. He is in England, but the hold-up is a work visa, which is very technical. It's with the Home Office and basically, it's got to go in front of a panel because he hasn't been a manager that much in the last 3 or 4 years. So, there's delays which Manchester United don't seem to be able to bypass. So, therefore, we don't have Ralf Rangnick as our manager on Thursday. However, he is in England. He might well be in the director's box. This is technical. This is technical now. I think we get that Cineworld thing back working. He is in England. Has he been to Carrington today? Can he stand on the side and watch training? It's all very, he's in England. Like, who's going to stop him speaking to Michael Carrick? Who's going to stop him speaking to the players? An official capacity is not there, but surely there's got to be some influence on the way that we play on Thursday. I hope so anyway, because I think our chances under Carrick, another press conference with Michael Carrick. With all due respect, I loved him as a player. As a manager, I find him really boring. And look, some people love it. I was arguing with Alex earlier. He loves him. He loves him as a player. He loves him as a manager. For me, I just find him very, very, very dull and boring. And, I don't think we've seen anything exciting on the pitch yet either. Let's not forget that Villarreal was their last 20 minutes performance. And Chelsea, look, I'm still looking at that stats and looking at how many shots they had and how much possession they had, and very defensive performances from Carrick in the 2 games that he's been a manager. We can't be like that on Thursday night. We've got to try and win the game. So hopefully there will be an impact from Rangnick, but the club themselves have confirmed that he will not be managing the game in an official capacity. He may well be in the director's box on Thursday. I don't think Carrick was overrated as a player, Matthew. I loved him as a player. I thought he was underrated as a player. But I certainly would agree that as a manager, I think he's very lucky to be in the chance. Is there a slight chance the visa goes through early, says Jack? Well, there's always a chance. But Manchester United have actually put it out on their website that Michael Carrick will be in charge. So they'd look I don't think they'd care looking a bit stupid, but they've sort of made that decision for us. Anyway, look, I want to talk about the lineup for Thursday, what we think it will be. I want to talk about Arsenal. Very interesting as well. I just saw something there. We were talking about Tariq Lamptey on the show this morning. We've been linked to Trippier again, but we've also been linked to Tariq Lamptey. Now, Lamptey for me would be the new Manchester United, the reset Manchester United, the Ralf Rangnick Manchester United. And Trippier, as we know, is the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Mike Phelan, Michael Carrick Manchester United. They did want him in the summer. Look, I would personally like to see United rip up every transfer target they had under Solskjaer for the last 2 years and look forward. And the main reason I would do that is because we're going to play a completely different brand of football. We're going to play high energy, high up the pitch. Under Ole, it was not high energy and it was deep, counter-attacking. So I would rip that up. And let's not forget that Kieran Trippier is, 31? And Tariq Lamptey, if he's over his injury problems, is very exciting. So I'd love to see us doing a deal like that. But look, let's talk about the preview. Let's talk about the Arsenal game. Very interesting, Arsenal have lost 4 games this season, 4 games out of 13. But as we all know, they lost their first 3 games. So when you think about it, Arsenal are very much in form. Lost their first 3 games. They've only therefore lost 1 in their last 10. In fact, they've won 7 of their last 10 games with 2 draws and a loss, which was Liverpool at Anfield, which most people are going to do. So realistically, taking Liverpool out the equation, they've won 7 of their last 9 and drawn the other 2. So they are a very, very capable side at the moment, and it's going to be a challenge. I'm not going to call Arsenal a difficult game. Come on, it's not Chelsea, it's not Man City, and it's not Liverpool. And Liverpool did smack Arsenal up a couple of weeks ago. Liverpool smacked us up a few weeks before that at Old Trafford. But what I'm saying is, we certainly should not be at Old Trafford going into an Arsenal game with trepidation and fear. This is basically about we're the other team in the top 4. We need to exert our authority. There is a second game against Arsenal later in the season at the Emirates. So we do need to go and win this game of football. But interestingly, I was looking at Arsenal's away record, and this is cause for hope. Because, all right, they've won 7 of their last 10. They've done very, very well, but their away record isn't that good. Out of 6 away games, they've lost 3, they've drawn 1, and they've only won 2. But they've conceded 11, and somehow they've managed to win. Well, I've got it down here that they've only scored 3 goals in 6 games away from home. So away from home, I don't think Arsenal are that good. They've been very good at accumulating the points at home. I don't think they're very good away from home. And they don't score many goals away from home. So that suggests to me that Arsenal may well come to Manchester United and try and be compact and hit us on the break. In which case, let's hope that we do have some of Ralf Rangnick's impact on the game, because we want to be on the front foot. A bit off topic, but I heard you mention like Serie A. Just wondering what was your favourite club in Italy, if you have one, says Ovidal. It's always been Juventus for me, although I did really like Sampdoria in the very early days when they had Mancini and Vialli. So, look, this game for me, let's have a look at how I think we will line up. I have gone very much on my left-hand side. I could just say as well, ho, ho, ho. I've got my Christmas jumper on. We've gone very festive in the United Stand. A little bit early, some would say, but it is the 1st of December tomorrow, and we have got Ralf Rangnick, so we have gone a bit festive. You can get your Christmas jumpers through the link in the video description. You don't have to get the Christmas jumpers. You might fancy the Last Dance one. You might fancy the Give It one. You might fancy a different t-shirt or a mug. The link's in the video description. Get your orders in and make for a very good Christmas present. But let's have a look at how Manchester United will line up in this game against Arsenal on Thursday night. Now, I've thrown one player in there as a little bit of a spanner in the works, but I've picked that team based off Carrick. Now, Carrick is the manager. There may well be an impact from Rangnick, but I very much think that I've probably picked 10 players here. I'm going to be very surprised if I haven't picked 10 players. So we'll talk a little bit about how Arsenal play in a minute, but De Gea in goal, obviously Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, if he's back fit, will play. Maguire will walk straight back into the team. Michael Carrick's the captain. Michael Carrick loves Harry Maguire. It'll be Carrick. Maguire and Carrick and McKenna at centre backs. Bloody hell! It'll be Maguire and Lindelof at centre back. Unfortunate for Eric Bailly, but Harry Maguire is available. He only missed one game. It was one red card suspension. So Harry Maguire is back. I don't understand why people are laughing that Maguire isn't available. He is available. It was a 1-game suspension for 2 yellow cards. So Harry Maguire will walk straight back into that team and he'll play with Lindelof. Eric Bailly is very, very unlucky, but we know it's going to happen. And then into the midfield, it will be Fred, of course. He played reasonably well the last 2 games, and it will be Scott McTominay. Very interesting, actually. We spoke about Arsenal over the last 10 games. They've won 7, drawn 2 and lost 1. As we know with Manchester United, in our last 8 games, we've lost 6, won 1 and drawn 1. I mean, that is horrific when you compare the two. And we're talking Premier League here. In our last 8 games, we've lost 6, won 1 and drawn 1. In their last 10 games, they've won 7, drawn 2 and lost 1. So they are very much more in form than us. But one of the interesting things I wanted to bring in about McTominay and Fred, and also want to throw Matic in there as well, is that I can't remember the last game Manchester United won a midfield battle, apart from the Spurs game, who were dreadful. I'm not even talking about good sides. I'm talking about, reasonable sides. The Aston Villas, the Evertons, the Atalantas, the Villarreals. We haven't won a midfield battle. I can't think of a time that we convincingly won the midfield battle this season, apart from the game against Spurs, which wasn't McTominay and Fred, by the way. We played a 3-5-2. We played with a midfield 3. We played with Bruno, McTominay and Fred in that game, with Cavani and Ronaldo up front. In fact, I did write them down. So when we lost the Villa and lost the midfield battle, that was McTominay and Fred. When we drew with Everton, that was McTominay and Fred. We then played Leicester, where it was Pogba and Matic, and we lost. Then we played Liverpool, McTominay and Fred. Then we played Spurs, and that was McTominay, Fred and Bruno. And then we played Man City and lost, which was again McTominay, Fred and Bruno. And then for the Watford game, it was McTominay and Fred again. It was McTominay and Matic in that game. We didn't have Fred in the game against Watford. And then obviously at Chelsea at the weekend, it was McTominay and Fred. So, I mean, look, this needs to be addressed. Michael Carrick needs to address this. I'm sure Rangnick's going to address it, but what can't speak can't lie. This is facts. We have lost 6 of our last 8 Premier League games. We consistently lose the midfield battle, and we're in a bad vein of form. If you lose the midfield battle, you're probably going to lose the game. And look, Maguire's made mistakes. Lindelof's made mistakes. Shaw's made mistakes. Wan-Bissaka's made mistakes. Ronaldo's missed chances. But if you lose the midfield battle, you're going to lose the game. And Manchester United have consistently picked that midfield 2, or sometimes Matic with that midfield 2, for the last 3 months. And we are in a horrible vein of form. I would break that up. I think it gives every team confidence when they see our midfield two is Fred and McTominay. And look, Fred played well at the weekend, but we still lost the midfield battle. We've got to try and win midfield battles because that's how you win the game. That's how you get possession. We give up a lot of possession. Mark, a bit off topic, but I've heard you saying that all the players get a clean record with the new manager. Would you say the same for the coaches, says Akil? Well, the coaches will be moulded by the manager, so yes, you make a good point there. So yeah, he will go with McTominay and Fred. Of course he will, because Carrick's going to be massively involved in the team as the caretaker manager. Bruno will play ahead of him. I think Sancho will definitely start on the right. Cristiano Ronaldo through the middle. I've actually put Anthony Martial on the left because I want to win this game. And I actually think that Marcus Rashford at the moment is just not doing the work. He's not doing the work with the ball, and he's certainly not doing the work without the ball. And I know Anthony Martial's a real controversial pick, and people will be going, no, no, no. But the reality is Rashford's playing badly at the moment, and this is a very important game. And I just think, I almost thought Greenwood, I even thought Cavani. I was trying to think who we can play on the left-hand side. And then I thought, you know what? Martial will actually put a shift in. He does actually track back. Of course, the chat is full of, the xenophobic Martial is lazy nonsense. But the reality is Martial, statistically, puts in more of a shift and helps his left-back more than Marcus Rashford has done for a very long time. So I think against Arsenal, Tomiyasu, their right-back, will pocket Rashford. So we need somebody who's going to work back because their fullbacks are hard working. And I think, look, there's not much between them at the moment. I'm not saying Martial's in good form, but I trust Anthony Martial to track back more than Marcus Rashford at the moment, who just doesn't seem to track back. So I actually have put Martial there, not because I'd start Martial, but to highlight the fact that we're playing against a really good right back for Arsenal. That right back they've brought in has done really, really well. We need somebody on that left-hand side who's going to put the work in. Now, you could play Greenwood off the right and put Sancho on the left, but that would be a real shame because, as we spoke about this morning, Jadon Sancho is in our top 5 pressers in 90 minutes this season. So Sancho's going to put the work in on the left-back for Arsenal, whether that's Tavares or Tierney. I don't know whether he's fit. We need somebody on that left-hand side to put the work in, and I actually might be... Lingard's a good shout, Magu. Lingard is actually a very good shout. I would actually probably go Lingard over Martial. Very good shout. But we need somebody to put the work in. And there is this myth about Anthony Martial not putting the work in as when he plays on the left-hand side. He hasn't played on the left-hand side a hell of a lot over the last 18 months. But I just don't think Rashford's putting the work in. And I think it's a risk. It's a really big risk. This is a game that is going to be very equal. I think that Arsenal, when you look at them this season, I know Arsenal fans have printed off T-shirts, they want him out and all this nonsense, but the reality is there's not many Premier League managers who've won 7, drawn 2 and lost 1 in their last 10 games. And what I think about Arsenal now is, which I just to spend a couple of minutes on Arsenal, what I think about Arsenal now is that they've got a plan, they've got a system, and they've got a structure. It might not be good enough to get them top 4 long enough, but when I could never tell you what Arsenal's team is. I can tell you now. Aaron Ramsdale playing brilliantly well. Tomiyasu at right back, which I've mentioned. Ben White and Gabriel as the centre back. Dreams can come true. Not that one. Left back, I don't know. It will be Tavares or Tierney, which I think you can actually exploit if it is that Tavares. I don't really rate him going defensively. So Sancho is a very interesting point there. I don't know whether Xhaka's fit, but obviously it's normally Partey, and then they'll play someone next to him. They mix it up a bit. Then they normally would go with Smith Rowe, Saka, and they could play Odegaard, they could play Pepe, they could play Aubameyang, or they could put Aubameyang up front and put Lacazette there. But it's very easy to sort of predict the way Arsenal are going to play now. They're well organised, they move the ball around well. They're not Liverpool, they're not Man City, and they're not Chelsea, but they're certainly as good as a Villa who came and beat us. They're certainly as good as an Everton, probably better than an Everton, to be fair, actually. They're capable of giving us a game. They're as good as Leicester, and Leicester smashed us. So this is a dangerous game. This is, for me, why I was really anxious that Rangnick wasn't taking training today and taking over, because we need that bounce of the new manager. And I think that Arsenal are a dangerous threat. You give Aubameyang a chance, he'll take it. You give Smith Rowe or Saka plenty of the ball and they will do something with it. Partey's very combative in that midfield. Their defence is a lot better than Arsenal has been. And, their goalkeeper's in really good form as well. I think it's going to be a tight game. I would say 0-0, 1-1, 2-1, 1-0, one of those scores. And it could go either way. But we have to not lose this game. In fact, I would say we have to win this game. We really, really do. We're still on a bad run of form, because we drew with Chelsea and we beat Villarreal. People think we're in a good vein of form. We've got 4 points from 24. 4 points from 24. We've got to start winning games. We are where we deserve to be. Somebody said if we lose against Arsenal, we're 8 points off Arsenal, who will be probably 5th or 4th. We probably drop down into mid-table. So, and then we've got Palace coming soon after that. We're going to have to put a lot of energy into this game, and we need to win this game, and we need to start picking up the wins. So I am not scared of Arsenal. We should not be fearful of Arsenal, but we definitely need to put the right 11 out to do the job. And I, at the moment, do not... And look, I don't think he's going to drop Marcus Rashford, but I'm just saying Sancho will put the work in on the right-hand side. We need that on the left-hand side. We cannot have our fullbacks being doubled up, and we cannot have a situation where, I haven't seen Marcus Rashford this season put a shift in properly at all. Now, whether that's because of injury or not, I don't know. But I think Rashford probably should not be starting in a game like this unless you're absolutely sure he's going to put in the performance that we need him to do, which he's more than capable of. I think of Marcus Rashford before the injuries, and he was one of the hardest working players we had. But for some reason, I don't know whether there's still a bit of a legacy towards the injuries or something like that, but for some reason that work rate's not there. And then you go, well, can you afford to not have his work rate for what he can do on the ball? And I don't think he's been that creative with the ball. I mean, Rashford's always got it in his locker to score a winner in a game, and that's the thing, and he's very, very quick. And I can imagine him scoring against Arsenal. I really can. But I'm now thinking whether Lingard should start off the left or whether Martial should start, because we do need the balance. We do need the work rate. And, of course, under someone like Ralph Rangnick, that's what we're going to be. Hi, Mark. I tried to ignore a couple of my mates when we lost to Liverpool, City and Watford. However, a loss to Arsenal is another level in banter. We cannot, Akil, we cannot lose this game to Arsenal. I mean, look, long are the days where I really gave a toss what any of them said. But the reality is I don't want to lose to Arsenal because it's symbolic. It's symbolic. Forget their fan base, forget our fan base. It's symbolic. Arsenal over the last decade have been perennial losers. They've not been anywhere near where they should be. Now, if Arsenal were to beat us, and that would take them to what? I said 7 wins in their last 10, 8 wins in their last 11, whereas we would be stuck in a situation where we've lost 7 of our last 9. The contrast is real. So I think that it's it's really important. Was listening to Andy Mitten on the Athletic podcast. It felt as if we were someone. It felt as if we were someone from MUTV talking, because the way he was talking about Carrick. Yeah, but I don't know Andy Mitten at all. I don't know him at all. But he's every time I listen to him, he's always very, very pro about the club. And you've got to respect that. Some people are very. Some people. It's the way of the world. You can't have a pop at somebody because they're very pro about it. And also, he's probably got relationships with Ollie and Michael Carrick and that. He's not going to sit there like me and say, or like somebody else and say, I find Carrick really boring. I think he's very lucky to be in a job. And I can't wait for Ralph Rangnick to start. I mean, that's my honest opinion on the situation. But I'm not going to go for a pint with him. So it doesn't really bother me. And even if I did, I'd still say, I think you're lucky to be in a job. And I think you come across as a little bit dull. But you did as a player, and I loved you as a player. Phil Jones to captain Man United against Arsenal. Obviously joking. Anyone else see him stretching against Chelsea? I mean that was just a sign of the injuries, really. Lindelof and Bailly were centre backs. Maguire and Varane aren't there. Who's the other centre back? It's Phil Jones. So I'm not really worried about Phil Jones, to be honest with you. But look, I've got no problem with people who want to be positive about Manchester United. I think Ollie was a very positive, glass half full guy. Maybe that was a reason he didn't do well. I don't think it was. I just don't think he was a very good coach. And live and let live, I would say. The reality is, I'm very happy with United. I think they've done the right thing with Rangnick, and I think we've got the right person in charge to build this football club. And I think all this, sentimentality and jobs for the boys and connections is going to go in the bin, which is where it belongs. And if Michael Carrick stays at the club with McKenna, fair play. Let's see if they can become good coaches under a good manager. Hi Mark, maybe he's told by coaches whole reason of Rashford is for his pace on the break, and he can't do that when he's helping the fullback, says Akil. You make a good point, Akil, but is it not a bit contradictory? We're constantly told that Ronaldo's a luxury player. Well, I don't mind him being a luxury player. He's one of the best players that's ever walked the planet. You can't then have a left winger who's a luxury player. You start to become PSG then. You cannot have two luxury players in the team. You've got to work. And in fact, in a Rangnick system, you've all got to work. So, look, I don't mind Rashford starting on Thursday. I've got nothing against Rashford. In fact, he's one of my favourite players. But he's not putting the shift in, and nobody should be above criticism. I mean, look, Bruno might not start against Arsenal. He didn't play particularly well against Chelsea. Maybe they'll go with Donny. I personally just want to see Donny playing in the midfield. If that team on the left was being picked by me, McTominay doesn't start, Donny plays instead, and I'd go with that 11, and I probably wouldn't start Maguire either, because I don't see why he should just walk straight back into the team. He's the captain of the team, but he's probably been our worst performer over our worst run of games in Premier League history. And Eric Bailly played well at the weekend, so I wouldn't change it. So, and also Arsenal are mobile and Maguire is not, so I wouldn't bring him straight back in. But I mean, look, the first thing I thought when Carrick was the manager, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth, I thought, well, it's favourites FC. Bruno will play, Luke Shaw will play, Maguire will play, Rashford will play, McTominay will play, Fred will play. You can pick that team, because it's the same mentality that we've had with Ollie for the last year. And I like some of those favourites. Look, I really rate Luke Shaw. I really rate Bruno Fernandes. And I thought Fred was good at the weekend. But it will be back to being favourites FC. This is not This is not a revolution yet. This is not a new United, if we're going to keep picking that team. There are players that have to start being given game time. And I don't mind who it is. I'm not going to give you names of who it is. You can have your own. But we've taken 4 points from 24. We've dropped 20 points in our last 8 games. No, 5 points from 24, sorry. So we've dropped 19 points from our last however many games. 8 games. You can't just keep picking the same players. We've got to change it. But I don't think Carrick will. I think Carrick will go. I hope he goes on the front foot a bit. I really do. Because I don't think against Arsenal there's anything to massively fear in relation to you've got to park the bus. But let's just hope there is a Rangnick influence in the game. Sorry to interrupt, Mark, but it's my birthday today. The Big 13, Manchester United to win 2-0 on Thursday. Love the show, says St. Jimmy. Can we get a happy birthday for St. Jimmy? And Manan, thank you very much for becoming a member of the club. But yeah, I'll go back to what I said before. It is very much something that Manchester United should be aware of, is that the midfield battle has been lost on a consistent basis for most of this season. Even the weekend, look, even the games where we drew, we've still lost the midfield battle. We lost the midfield battle at the weekend. They had like 60-something% possession and all the shots. I think sometimes some of our fans think that our midfield plays well when we don't lose. But we lost the midfield battle massively against Chelsea, and they didn't even have their best midfield available. So, they didn't have Mount, they didn't have Havertz, they didn't have Kovacic, they didn't have Kante. And we still lost the midfield battle. And the thing is, we've got no one to come back. I've seen Man United this season play a lot of teams like Villarreal, who had a lot of injuries. Atalanta had a lot of injuries. We've had teams like Villa and Everton come to us with injuries. Even Liverpool didn't start Mane and Fabinho. I mean, that terrifies me. Liverpool beat us 5-0 and they didn't start Fabinho and Mane. I mean, yet we've never had any injuries this season apart from to Varane. And I'm talking about the midfield. Our midfield doesn't have anybody to come back. And don't say Paul Pogba, because we haven't used Paul Pogba in the midfield. Maybe that was a mistake, but we haven't. We've consistently lost midfield battles to everybody with our best midfield. And this is the area. And look, people want to talk about Maguire, they want to talk about Rashford, they want to talk about Bruno, maybe Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, whatever. Get into that if you want to. Some people do want to talk about Ronaldo. Idiots. But I'm telling you now, football's won and lost in the midfield, and we are not talking about this enough. And it's not helped by the fact that Sky start giving a midfielder man of the match at the weekend, even though our midfield got dominated and spent most of its time defending. How do you... I agree with Paul Ince on Monday. He says, how are you giving a man of the match to a midfielder just for blocking and tackling? That's not a midfield. That's what a defender does. A midfielder is there to get hold of the midfield, to run the midfield. And we've not done this. And I'm not naming names because there's Matic has played. Matic and Pogba played against Leicester and we lost 4-2. Matic and McTominay played against Watford and we lost by 4 there. Fred and McTominay against Liverpool. But, they've all had a go and they've all been dreadful. So, apart from Donny, actually, I don't think Donny's ever played in the midfield two with anybody yet. So, why that's not happened, I don't know. But look, to me, it's the headline. And it's the biggest thing that Rangnick needs to resolve. Because we do wander off down alleyways. It's like last season, people started talking about De Gea versus Henderson. You know, we've had the Ronaldo thing. We've got the Rashford thing going. We've had Maguire. But I'm telling you, look at all the games. We lose the midfield battle virtually every game. There is a consistent two that play and get picked, but some of the others have played as well. That's where we've got to change it. That's where we're losing games, and that's where I'm worried against Arsenal because, you know, we've got to get hold of that midfield. Bruno didn't play well because he was back in our corner flag area most to start ball progression up the field because midfield was useless, says Gabriel Noel. Lots of people saying happy birthday there. So look, score prediction time. What do I think the score prediction will be? I don't like doing score predictions, and I normally get them wrong. But I did predict a draw against Chelsea before the game, I think. So I'm going to go with a United win. I think even with Carrick, I can't believe I'm doing it, because it could be a jinx. I'm going to go Manchester United to win. I think we have to win. I think there is some positivity around the club now. Players know we've got a new manager. They've got to impress. It's in front of 75,000 fans. You got fans, new manager, playing for your future. Can't afford to lose. Minimum. Well, look, I'm not even going to say minimum draw. We've got to win the game. I can see it being. I'm going to go 2-1 United, maybe 1-0, but 2-1 United, and I'll be very, very happy about that. But as I said before, look, the news is that Rangnick will not be involved in this game. And also remember that Arteta has never lost to Solskjaer. And I know this is not Solskjaer, but the point is that you know, it's still Carrick in charge, who was very much a large part of Solskjaer. So it'd be nice to break that sort of Arteta issue that we've had. But I'm looking forward to it. And I think that, you know, I just hope that Ralph Rangnick can and should and does have an impact on this game, because he's not going to be on the bench by the sounds of it. He is in England. There has to be conversations going on. I mean, look, even if it's inviting Carrick round for dinner, like, just there's no point. Like, there's no toes to tread on. We're in quite a fortunate position that we know Michael Carrick is staying on. Therefore, we know that Michael Carrick will do anything that Rangnick asks of him, even wearing I was nearly going to say wear a dress, but he wouldn't want to wear a dress. But if this was like, I don't know, if this was Michael Carrick and he knows he's getting sacked on Friday morning, he'd just do what he wants to do. He's got no, you know what I mean? Like, if Carrick's leaving when Rangnick comes in, he's got no reason to listen to Rangnick or do anything. He just does it for himself. But we know that Carrick's got a big opportunity to stay at this football club under Rangnick, so he's not going to do anything that might damage Rangnick's prospects. So there has to be. It's common sense. There's got to be conversations going on between the two. The shame of it is that I wouldn't start getting excited that we're going to see Bay start instead of Maguire. I wouldn't start getting excited that we're going to see Van der Beek playing instead of McTominay next to Fred. I don't think we're going to see stuff like that, because I think Rangnick would need to be on the training ground drilling the players on how he wants to play to then justify what he's going to do. I think Rangnick will have conversations with Carrick, but Carrick will be going, look, I think we need to go with McTominay and Fred. I think Maguire's got to come back into the team, and I don't know whether Rangnick would have the the justification to do it. I mean, he could do it, but I'm not expecting changes. I think we will still very much be favourites FC, but I would hope to see a different way in which we approach the game. Unpopular question: Ronaldo's a bigger Madrid legend or bigger Man United legend? I couldn't give a shit, really. Real Madrid is Real Madrid and Manchester United is Manchester United. There's no doubt that he's a legend of Real Madrid. There's no doubt he's a legend of Manchester United. I couldn't give a shit who's got bigger legend status. Doesn't matter to me. Imagine if he was in the EU and visa and paperwork wouldn't be required, says Red Baron. Yep, Yeah. It's a stupid thing, but I really hope that he can come to Manchester United and make a difference. And I want to see a difference on Thursday. And I think we will see a difference on Thursday, because I was thinking about this before I went live. If I'm a Man United player, and even if I don't meet Rangnick, and even if he doesn't speak to the players, but he's spoken to Carrick, and if I'm starting for United or I'm on the bench for United and I get an opportunity against Arsenal, I've got to spring him a step. I'm Scott McTominay. I'm bunny hopping around the midfield. But no, I've got to spring him a step, because I'm thinking this is a new United. All the relationship I had with Ollie before, whether I was a favourite or not a favourite, this is a clean start. So I would expect to see a lot of, you know what, when they're playing under Ollie, you can see that, you know, they're sinking. Under a new manager, you're not sinking under that regime anymore. So I expect to see a performance from United on Thursday. I really, really do. But what I would say is that even if we do see a performance on Thursday, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to win. You've got to put some respect on Arsenal's name. I'm not scared of them. We shouldn't be losing to them. They've had a very good run of fixtures, but very good run of results. But they're not good away from home. As I said, they've only, out of their last 6, they've won 2, lost 3 and drawn 1, and they've conceded quite a few goals, and they've only scored 3 apparently. So they're not a team that should be coming to us and giving a go at us. And I actually think Arsenal will approach the game, just very quickly, I think Arsenal will be cautious in this game. They saw what happened to them at Anfield. Now, we're not Liverpool, but it's a big crowd. United players are going to be up for it. They won't want to be open. And I think Arteta will probably play compact and on the break. But if we allow them to get on the ball, they can keep the ball. That's something we've not been very good at. So we've got to get on the ball early, and we've got to hurt them high up the pitch early. Maybe at the moment it's irrelevant who plays, as the coaching is poor and every player has been subject to that. So that they will all be playing below standards, as Liam. And predictions for the Merseyside derby: easy win for Liverpool. Everton are shit at the moment. In fact, here's a prediction for you: Benitez won't see out the season. He'll be sacked soon. Do you think Rangnick will? They're really crap. Do you think Rangnick, and also Everton have got a lot of money, so they won't be very happy. Do you think Rangnick will have sent the coaches some training plans he wants them to start with the players? I don't know about that, Joshua. I think it's very difficult, because, you know, if I'm a master architect and I'm brilliant at building houses and mansions and, you know, cathedrals or whatever, and I've got a project to build a beautiful mansion in LA, but I can't get over there for a couple of weeks, do I send the plans to somebody to try and do it for me while I'm not there? No. Because they're not going to do it how I want them to do it, and they might do it wrong, in which case it reflects badly on you. So it's a difficult one. And also, as I said this morning, Michael Carrick and McKenna have been training this team for 3... Well, they were also training the Mourinho team to sit back and defend and counter-attack. It's very difficult to say now treat them to do something that they're not used to doing. You've got to have him on the pitch without a shadow of a doubt. Anyway, look, really enjoyed that. Nice quick preview. No Rangnick unless we get a miracle, I think. Let's hope we get 3 points. We really do need it. Looking forward to the game. And we will be live at 8 o'clock tonight with the 8 o'clock show. I am going to be doing my career mode on Goldbridge TV on Twitch. So give us a follow on @MarkGoldbridge when I tweet that out. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Take care, and I'll speak to you all a little bit later on. And remember, if you want to get your Christmas jumpers or any of our merchandise, links in the video description. Really good Christmas present. I'll speak to you in a bit.